Welcome back to my channel. Just wanted to show you my Leliocattleya Mari song. Actually, I think it's just Cattleya Mari song. And the last time I talked to you, I said this thing had 5 spikes. So it's only natural I show you what those 5 spikes developed into. They developed into some really awesome blooms. And I was going to wait for them all to open so I can show you the full glory of these of this display, but I think it's going to be off by a couple weeks. So here's what the regular blooms look like, and then let me see if I can't get the full plant in the shot. It's pretty crazy, huh? Each one of these flower spikes has 2 to 3 buds on it, some of them a lot more. She blooms twice a year for me, once in the fall and once in the spring. Sometimes there's some off-season bloomings, and I've kind of raved about the fragrance on this one a bunch. It smells like lemon pledge mixed with roses. So this is the Bialara Marfitch Howard's Dream. The reality is that this plant is a no ID hybrid. I'm only calling it the Marfitch Howard's Dream because it looks pretty similar to it. The reality is that this could be an entirely different plant. And she seems like she blooms in the fall, right around October, which is a good season for her because she looks a little Halloween-y. It kind of has all these, it has that spooky purple color and then all those psychedelic spots. So I mean, it certainly is a dramatic orchid. It's not a small orchid. Here's kind of my hand for my arm for perspective. And she is fairly easy to bloom. I have 4 spikes on her going right now. They're going to be staggered out by the looks of it if they all make it. So this is going to be in bloom for a while. The plant itself is not in good shape. Too much light, I think, is something that's happening here. I had it under 2 LEDs. They weren't very high-powered LEDs, but they were, I think, enough to cause this plant some stress. And it is shedding. It's either shedding a lot of leaves or the leaves themselves are getting to be quite washed out and in bad shape. And the bulbs are pretty shrunken. Another issue I'm having with this plant is, let me get this rock out of here, it's weighing it down. The other issue I'm having with this plant is that the pot itself has been taken over by some kind of moss. It's some kind of bryophyte, I believe. This moss is suffocating my roots. So when this plant begins to make new roots off of a new growth, I think I'm going to try and get rid of this moss and put it in something new. So the lavender form of my Cattleya wakeriana is doing really well, still in bloom. These are on their way out, but I think she's lasted quite a while, so I'm pleased with it. And of course, she's still very fragrant. The Cattleya wakeriana semi-alba, variety Tokyo #1, that first spike I showed you in the last video, it did die. It rotted quite badly. I cut it and I put cinnamon on it. And it actually formed another flower spike from a different direction of growth. So I did indeed get flowers, and I got them a lot sooner than I originally expected, because I was originally... So this is a new acquisition. It's a rather large plant, and I don't know what possessed me to buy it, because this spike is very large. And actually I do know what possessed me to buy it. It's fragrant. It's pretty powerfully fragrant too. It's one of those scents that fills up a small part of my room, and it's not just a regular small flowered oncidium. It looks like it has some odontoglossum in it, which I would love to show you if my camera would focus, but my camera is not wanting to focus. Come on, do it. Focus for me. It's a sign I need to upgrade my camera, but I probably won't because I keep buying music equipment, which is really expensive. But yeah, so she is really fragrant, And the smell is herbal and kind of sweet at the same time. Before I call this an update, this is Leliocattleya Tropical Pointer Cheetah. This is the second or third time she's bloomed for me this year. So pretty good. That's a massive improvement over when I first bought this plant. This plant used to only bloom once a year, kind of in fall, and now it's kind of blooming in spring and fall. The colors on this blooming aren't that good, so there's something about my conditions that made the colors less intense, but that's okay. I'm just happy to see it in bloom. And the cool thing is that I'm starting to get directions of growth, which are making sheaths that do not look empty. Prior to this set of growths, a lot of my new growths kind of had these kind of bends in them, accordion looking shapes, and they just weren't making sheaths. So that's cool. This one's going to bloom a lot more if all of those new directions of growth start making buds. So really looking forward to it. And I messed up with this one. I put too much fertilizer in one of my batches of fertilizer, and it totally killed some of my roots. So a lot of these roots that you see that took over the reservoir are now dead. So that sucks, because there was some really good progress made as far as my root growth went, and now it's kind of all undone. But moving on. So I had another Akatsuka purchase. I purchased Zygopetalum Revdale, and I can't remember the colonel name. I want to say it's like Titanic #2 or something like that. It's a really cool cross. I love the white detailing and kind of speckling on this one, and it's starting to develop a fragrance. It's a pretty typical Zygopetalum type of fragrance. It's floral, maybe a tiny bits like hyacinth, but more sweet than that, maybe kind of more lilac-y than anything else. This plant is really good shape. My new growth on this one does have a few black spots that I didn't notice the other day, but it's coming up nice, and it has a really awesome thick root system. Something else to know about this plant too is the growth habit is really weird for a Zygopetalum. I've never seen a Zygopetalum make new growths that look like this. And when I first saw this, before the buds opened, I was like, what the heck is this? Is this a Cycnodes or Catasetum or something? But no, it's totally a Zygopetalum. It's just, it has a species in it somewhere that is giving it this weird fan growth instead of more of a pointy growth that you see. Cattleya Hesinian Excel crossed with Leliocattleya Mari Song. This is the second blooming of the year. The first blooming was in March, so it's a spring and fall bloomer, which is really awesome. And she has 2 active directions of growth. So I have some buds on this growth popping out here. I will say I damaged these buds, and I don't know how I damaged them. Do you see that chunk missing from that bud? What the heck, man? That is no bueno. But hey, at least I got these 2 that are for sure gonna make it. And this one is pretty fragrant. The fragrance is perhaps not for everyone. It's kind of like pepper mixed with rose, but more of rose than anything else. It's kind of, yeah, like I said, it's not for everyone. It's kind of a weird scent. I enjoy it, and I really love the colors. Alright, so it has officially been a full month since I started filming this, and I'm just so lazy. I don't know what's up with me. I haven't been working a lot of overtime. I haven't been doing anything that crazy, but yeah, it's been a long time since I made an update, and I just wanted to show you like 2 more plants, and then I'm going to edit this video, I'm going to put it up, I'm going to respond to some comments on my channel, because I have been just absolutely neglectful as heck, so I apologize. But this is a no ID Bialara that I found at Trader Joe's. I potted her up into Pumescens Fag with some wicks. She seems to be doing well, getting a bit too dry between waterings, but other than that, she's doing quite nicely. And the form of this flower isn't very good, but man, the colors on it is really nice. And I don't think the camera's picking it up because the lighting's not so good in here. But it's just very unusual and delicate pastel colors and spots. And the texture of the flower, when it first opened, it was very shiny, very diamond dusty. It's getting to be a little bit more matte now that the flowers have aged a little bit. But yeah, very nice, and she seems very floriferous. I don't think she was super healthy, and she made 3 spikes off of this bloom. So yeah, it seems like Trader Joe's is beginning to get their kind of more unusual orchids in, so head down there and do some shopping, and let's give our local orchid vendor some support. I bought a whole bunch of Novelty Phalaenopsis, and I got rid of one Cattleya. So in that spot where that big Cattleya was at, I now have Novelty Phalaenopsis. And this is a Bellina I bought. This is a Kalimantan form Bellina, so it's kind of got those like petals that point up. And the form on this isn't very good either, but I still really like this plant. This plant, it has character, you know, that kind of je ne sais quoi. That it's not really perfect. It's not award quality, but I still like it. It's super cool, and I think it's got some potential. And the thing I like about it the most is that the roots are really nice. It's got a lot of roots, and I got this one from Big Leaf Orchids on their eBay site and bud, so I can't take credit for the bloom. And I gotta say too, the fragrance on this, I had a Phalaenopsis grosbeak. It smelled super fruity, very Fruit Loopy. This one, for whatever reason, does not smell Fruit Loopy. It smells a little more similar to the Phalaenopsis samara I have. That kind of cinnamony thing going on. I mean, there's a hint of fruit, but it's more kind of sweet and syrupy. So I don't know if this is a pure Bellina or what, but she's very nice. So I totally lied. I still have Bialara or Aliciara Big Shot Hilo something. Is that right? Oh my gosh, let me look at it. Big Shot Hilo Sparkle is Bialara Big Shot Hilo Sparkle. And this one is really nice. It's not photographing very well. The purple, these purple markings here, they're a lot more intense, and I think it's just from the lighting in this room. But yeah, the colors on it are very nice. They're very dark. It's kind of coming up kind of wishy-washy, kind of like a Bialara Tahoma Glacier. But rest assured, in real life, those markings are more defined. And she's very healthy. I got this one from Akatsuka. Had a really great root system, potted it up in some really fine pumice and with some wicks. And as she's doing very well. There is a bit of a fragrance. It's not overwhelming. It's not going to fill your room up. But it smells a little rosy and a little kind of sweet and syrupy. Not your typical Bialara fragrance. So that's mainly why I bought this one, because it A, looks like a Bialara, and B, it was advertised as being fragrant. It is indeed fragrant, but nothing to write home about. It's not overwhelming. It might improve in later bloomings, but I just love how this one looks. I'm a sucker for white and purple and yellow contrast, so this one is really awesome. And okay, I'm finally done making updates. I do have a few more plants blooming, but I've showed them to you like a billion times this year already. One of them is the BLC Memoria Anna Balmoris. It has 2 huge blooms and some buds on it, but I just don't feel like filming anymore. I'm pretty sure this is a long update. It's been a long time coming, so anyways, bye-bye.